So I want to tell you a bit about the program that I'm working on at University of Strathclyde. I just started at University of Strathclyde and we've been getting this project going. It's called the MREAP, and I already moved on to how it got started. University of Strathclyde started in 2008 in Malawi to do a program called CRED, which essentially installed a series of solar panels on schools and attempted to measure the impact of those installations. That ended in 2011, after which there was a scoping study that the government of Scotland asked for, and following that there was a series of recommendations that came out of that scoping study that they said, okay, let's fund you to do these things. And that turned into MREAP. And so now we're right about here, and we've gone through fiscal year 1, and it's a 3-year program, so fiscal year 1 kind of went quickly.
Fiscal year.
Yeah, it's a short fiscal year, but so it's essentially two years and a quarter, and it's made up of several different components that I'll tell you about. This was the scoping study. Overall, the program was funded for £1.7 million for these two objectives: to to have an improved enabling environment for evidence-based policy for renewable energy technologies, and increasing access for poor and low-income communities to energy infrastructure. So those are fairly broad. It also brought together a collaboration of some partners from different areas: NGOs, consultants, academic, and community-based organizations. We're working with the two major universities, engineering universities in Malawi, Mzuzu University and Polytechnic in South and North. Working with a couple of development consultancies. Ivy Park does quite a bit of general development internationally, working in quite a few countries. I'm not sure exactly which ones. And they work with governments quite a bit, and very knowledgeable about the kind of policy change approaches. Skura Energy does wind consulting, and which was one of the aspects of the MREAP program. Community Energy Scotland is our main partner that's implementing strategic projects on the ground. So we have a series of projects, actually things being built, action happening. And Community Energy Scotland, their background is doing something similar in Scotland. Mulanje Renewable Energy Agency is a community-based organization that basically have arranged and built up a microgrid and micro-hydro-based microgrid in one of the areas, so they're helping to fund that as well. So we have 4 different elements. I won't go into all these details here, but the 4 different streams, we're needing to come out of it with some evidence to support further renewable energy development, some direct policy support, some capacities to enhance the networks that are in Malawi, and actually complete some community energy projects. So I will say that I've learned a lot here, and I think that I'd like to try to take that back to MREAP. So keep that in mind, and any suggestions that you have are of course welcome. Let's see, let's get into the actual programs. The first stream is the institutional support program, essentially do an evaluation of the renewable energy, off-grid renewable energy projects that are happening, that have happened in Malawi up to this date, and to continue to evaluate the projects that we put in. To also look at it, put together an inventory of all those projects as well, and then to continue to work with the Malawi government on what their off-grid renewable energy program is. So that doesn't quite have a lot of definition at the moment, but that's the idea behind it. They have plans to build a wind farm and to extend the grid and to have more hydro, whereas the community-based renewable off-grid plans, that's kind of what we're helping them work with. The second part is the Community Energy Development Program. This is really the meat of the project. So with this, we're going to have a toolkit, which essentially is a bit of knowledge of how to do a certain type of community energy development project in Malawi itself. So how do you do a PV project? How do you do a micro hydro microgrid project? So it's basically taking all the strategic projects, which I'll tell you more about later, and putting it into a repository of knowledge that gets shared. And that's what we call the toolkit. They're also, this part is also focused on implementing the strategic projects, which are four, several community energy, school PV installations, several biogas projects, a regional cook stove and solar lantern project, and the microhydro microgrid project. And lastly, to develop this community renewable energy grant and loan facility. So there's the idea that there's going to be an organization that exists after we're gone. And this organization is essentially, it has access to some grant money, and it goes for grant money, but it funds more community energy programs. So I really am excited about that. And the idea behind that is that they're going to be learning from these strategic projects that we do, what worked, what didn't work, what was sustainable, primary, that's the key thing. The Wind Energy Preparation Program, essentially these four things happen in series, but look at how to do some mapping, wind mapping, constraint mapping for Malawi on a macro scale, so that you can reduce the risk to do a commercial-based wind farm. The government of Malawi is very interested in that, so that was part of the agreement that we would help them do that. We've also added on to it, it's not here, but an emphasis on community-based wind. So if there is a resource for community-based wind, how can you implement that within the grant loan scheme? How can we get some information on what works with wind? How to get the basic constraints of wind data in the field, so that if someone comes to this facility and says, we want to do a wind project, you can say, okay, here's this, it's in the toolkit, here's some basic information on how to get started in that. Okay, and then the last part is the capacity building program. All those strategic projects are also going to feed into this part of it, which is the capacity building. There's a few different elements. There's going to be some degrees that are paid for, split site degrees for Malawian academics to get their MPhils, basing their work on the strategic projects. So we want to do some evaluation on the impact of a PV installation on a school. And how do you compare that to the impact of some cook stoves? So we have up to 6 Malawian academics to implement that, and to provide some more deeper understanding into what worked and what didn't work within those projects that later goes on into the toolkit. So in addition to that, there's an emphasis on enhancing and adding renewable energy coursework into the university work. So into the degree program as well as the technician programs. Just based on what I've heard, what I've been thinking about here is I think it would also make sense to try and bring some of that knowledge into the community-based organizations that are in Malawi. So they have village development communities and larger development communities. How do you take some of the knowledge from renewable energy projects and get them implementing that and saving at the community level?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, impact study you were talking about.
Yes.
How wide would you like it? You have given some thought to how spread out you want it?
We're still discussing it, and I think it's a very difficult thing for me right now to say this is how I'm going to measure impact on various different elements. I can say that this program or this strategic project is economically feasible if they get, if I can get the how much money it costs, how much money they bring in. That much is clear. But what I would like to do is start to at least provide the basis for a data set that maybe doesn't emerge within these 2 years. It isn't complete within these 2 years, but it kind of sets the foundation so that you can start to think about how to measure impact. So I think that's a very, very difficult thing to do. I'm not sure if it's how much of it is feasible within this project, but I'd like to do as much as possible. So we're currently discussing those issues between our A couple quick things on this. We also have a renewable energy entrepreneurship fund, which is meant to basically take ideas and commercialize them coming out of the universities on renewable energy projects. And we have a remote monitoring aspect of it that it'll start out looking at using SMS technology with the PV installations and doing some basic data capture and remote monitoring. Let's see. So then I started thinking, okay, how can this program complement CSI and work with CSI? These are some ideas. Okay, what I want to know is what kind of research is applicable to CSI initiatives that we can somehow tackle within the EMRI program. There's definitely a research emphasis, and so there's an opportunity, I think, to say, okay, this is a question we don't know about. Let's try and find that out with EMRI.
Is it a kind of a, when you say research, is that like technology development research or more kind of impact methodology research?
I think it's very open. I'd like it to look at technologies and how products respond, but also impact. I think it's just, what I would ask you is what's the most important? And let's do that.
And figure out from the community what's the most important. But those two identified tasks are very closely related and would be very important integrative study.
Yeah. In terms of the technology, with the research, we're looking at a series of different technologies in a series of different levels, community, individual, and kind of larger communities with the microgrid. We're trying to devise a way to compare those things somehow, some way. I don't know what that's going to look like. So if we can learn from any of those experiences, then I'd like to try and bring this back into CSI. And then obviously networking. I'm going to have access to quite a few of the NGOs as we build up the network for renewable energy in Malawi. So the next step is to identify the ones that could do solar trailer projects, that could do whatever CSI product we want to try out, and to get that started. As I was saying, the community energy strategic projects are really the meat of the program. It's about 25 initial projects, again with the goal of providing learning, and then that's going to roll into the basis for the grant loan facility. This would be the strategic projects with solar PV in Chikwawa district. This was the images from CRED 1, but essentially very similar to this. These installations I can tell you more about, but I think you have a general idea. This is not 6 kilowatt, it's more a 250 to 500 watt solution. So it's a little bit smaller scale. The strategic projects and the biogas projects, this essentially you need 3 cows and a digester, and you can have cleaner burning fuel. Deforestation is a huge issue in Malawi, so Actually,
How much gas did they get out of 3,000 credits?
they have about 3 of these nozzles here. I didn't have a picture of the nozzle. But about 3 of these nozzles they have to load like, I forget how much it is. You need about 3 cows.
How much gas, like, what was the product, the service, or whatever that the gas?
It's methane. You get methane out of
It's
it.
cooking.
Cooking, yeah.
And so like 3 cows gave you enough gas to cook every day, or?
Yep, to
You sort of gave
replace
natural gas consumption?
replace the amount of wood that or charcoal that they'd be using for cooking. And so this is their cooking room, for example. You can see all the soot on the walls, and they still actually did use wood. Sometimes, I think maybe when they were putting it in, it wasn't quite ready, that sort of thing. But they still use
They're
it.
just some things that cook there.
They just want to use that. Yeah, that's true. That's what they want. But apparently, I haven't actually done the interviews, but people have been very positive with the product. They like the methane. They like the fact that there's not smoke in their faces.
And respiratory death.
That's true too. Let me show you. Did you not get that? I was going to show you 360. I'll show it to you. Did you have that?
Well, we just took it out of that mode. So it's
Which one is it?
Put it alongside the stove.
Let me just. I'll come back to that.
Does the link work?
No, it needs that folder that was in the same thumb drive. So if you did folder, you should not get it. But it's okay. Let's see if we can do view.
You got the thumb drive, I can stick it on there.
Okay, well, let's come to that in the end. The micro hydro project, this is, I think it's like 50 kilowatts. It's not small. And it's going to be powering at the beginning 400 homes, and then it's going to ramp up to like 2,000 homes. So it's quite a big project. The story behind this is it had been funded for a certain amount, not fully funded. And so Emmerich is going to finish funding that and use it as a strategic case. There's quite a bit of a hydro resource there on the micro level and also on the macro level. That most of the power on the central grid comes from hydro. Actually, all of the power. So.
They create a dam for that? Just curious.
No, it's just run. The regional cook stoves, I don't have a picture of it. I'm missing a bullet point, which is it is 5 times more fuel efficient, apparently. Also, you don't breathe as much fumes, which is a very nice outcome too. So that's an important bullet point to put in there that I missed. This is a collaboration with Concern Universal. They're a pretty big NGO that operate in a lot of different countries. And essentially build the clay stoves in country, sell them in country, and so far it has been quite successful in finding people finding vendors to sell it and also to produce it in country. So again, it's a different product, different type of consumer in the end, just a single household or single person. How to compare that to the other products? Or does it even need to be compared? The next steps in Malawi is the NGO partner identification. I'll be heading back in October, so I'll have a good conversation with the people that we know to start that process to identify. I'd like to figure out a way to implement the CSI products in Emory, either working with some of our partners to bring in a solar trailer or other CSI products to also compare those. I think that there's a good opportunity with the Brandon Loan Facility if we can bring a test case in and say, okay, look, here's a solar trailer, it does well here. Now we have this Brandon Loan Facility to help fund that process even faster, bring more money together. And from what I've heard, if, you know, we bring a solar trailer and it is very, you know, generate a lot of revenue, we should do well, right?
That's the exact kind of product where we want, right? It's like you get a grant facility, you get started, and a loan facility that keeps going, so to speak.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And then the other thing is the IEEE PS links. I'm just very interested in how we can, there's like no one in Malawi that's an IEEE member, or I should say PS member. The engineering departments have nothing to do with PS, so how do we connect these things, and how do we you know, create some synergies there? And I think in terms of the MPhils and the research that they do, it'd be nice if there was a forum for that research to come out. In terms of capturing knowledge and keeping it at a community level and implementing knowledge, again, how do we work with PS to do that? So that's just a kind of a discussion question, I guess, to think about. So I'll be in contact with Henry and Robin quite a bit on that, and you too, Pat. So if you have any ideas on how we can make that happen, I appreciate it. One thing that we had talked about is just me and my boss about somehow getting access to the IEEE, what's it called? Explorer, yeah. So anyways, just some ideas. Any questions about Emory?
Just once again, what's the acronym that was in your first slide, but I missed it?
Okay, it's, I'll go.
Malawi. Thank you.
There you go. And I've got it fully linked, so when it's on the website, you can just link to all the different things and see exactly. Let's see if I can get that 360 in here, so I can show you that. Just put this in.
In Malawi, what are the languages?
English and
Colonial languages.
Tonga, Chichewa.
English is the,
English is, everyone speaks pretty good
was a
English.
British colony.
Yeah.
French, but they gave up on the French.
Let's see if I can. maximize. This was at the biogas project, so this was at the farmer's house. That's a little too slow. So this would be where the cows are over there. This is the runoff area.
Is that
Biogas.
biogas?
This is that's the main valve here, and the digester is actually underneath there. This is another one. This is the loading area, just over here.
And whose property is that?
This is just a farmer.
That's personal property.
Personal property. Yeah, they vetted this guy. This is one of the, in the evaluation report, they went through an inventory and they said, okay, what does a biogas program, or what does a biogas installation look like in Malawi? And this is one of the better examples. So,
You have a picture of that
I can get you one. I was gonna take it, but I think it was copyrighted. I didn't want to take their photo, so I can show you what it looks like. But did I describe that to you earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll show you.
So,
Yes.
in your estimation, Peter, what differentiates this from the Millennium Villages?
I don't know the Millennium Villages that well enough.
Oh, yeah.
It should be something to start out with.
Okay.
It's a Millennium Village is somewhat of a constructed test case.
It comes out of the MDG project. It's funded entirely by the UN in Colombia, and it creates Potemkin villages that are models of these things. My critique of it is none of them are genuinely indigenous villages, and the people that are brought in to run them are actually not villagers. They're city guys that have a relationship to the UN.
Yeah.
So my question was kind of a leading question, is this more,
What I would say is that with the grant and loan facility, and the idea that there's going to be a community energy in Malawi that engages with communities to, serve these needs if there is a need, and let that be a grassroots effort. I think that's the goal. And these projects that we're doing are going to be test cases so that there's less risk involved with us, so we can gather that learning and keep learning how it works in Malawi. Right? So I think that the fact that there is going to be a permanent presence there that is focused on the community-based approach and engagement with the community and what their needs are is the key. It's kind of, I think it's in a way like a chicken and egg thing. You want to go there and install solar, but you don't know anything about installing solar in Malawi, so you get some solar panels, you do the best you can, you learn from it. When you get to the point where you want to start doing it again and again and again, then yeah, it needs to be a process which involves the community and they evaluate this. This is good for us, this is not good for us. But without any knowledge, then it's difficult to say really anything. So.
It's critical for the community to have that choice to say, yes, we want this. And it's great when you have examples and you can see it and say, yes, we like this. But it is, it's got to be community driven because you don't want to be deploying stuff for the community. That's one.
Yeah. So that's just also something that I've taken away from you guys on your projects is that it has to be a significant component. So certainly I'll be pushing that as much as I can. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see I see this as a lot of academic research, the elevations and so on, but I don't see just how that connection is made. Again, where these guys have gotten.
I think it's finding the right NGO at this point. There's NGOs that would be willing to work on it, actually explain what the actual project is. They have to go through
Work on it as,
to commit to start a solar trailer project in Malawi.
with what business model? Because
The business model that we've been talking about.
Yeah, 'cause
Not necessarily.
There's all kinds of
this-
business models, because
Yeah.
the entrepreneur side that you showed there sounds very much like encouraging Strathclyde people to become entrepreneurs in new energy projects in Malawi. And it didn't, that's it.
The entrepreneurship fund is for Malawian academics to basically commercialize or monetize their idea, their senior projects in renewable energy.
It's like an individual entrepreneur approach.
Right.
And there's a lot of.
But there's other NGOs that are working in Malawi that would be willing to take on this project. We just have to engage with them. We have to bring, some that I've met already to say, look, here's an opportunity, and start vetting. That process has to happen. So I'm not saying that it has to be Malawian academics coming out of their university system through the Emory program that has to do it. I'm just saying there's a bunch of NGOs there. Let's find the one that works for CSI. And if there's a link with Emory, that's good. If there's not, then
Yeah,
I don't see why we would hold anything up.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Peter.